Thank you very much for those presentations, and I hope people enjoyed them online. Apologies if there were some sound problems with the early part of the presentation. I hope that didn't detract too much from understanding what was going on, and you were able to follow on the subtitles. So it's great, isn't it, to hear that we've delivered great services in an innovative and compassionate way during the year, and we still stayed within our financial remit. So thank you very much. I'll echo Eric's thanks to the staff and to the leadership of the Trust for all of the effort they put into that during the course of the year. We now have time to take questions from members of the public. So if there are any questions, please go ahead. So we've got one in the room. Thank you.
Thank you. My name's Ian Syme. I have several questions, Chair, if that's okay. I attend your ICBs and also monitor the board papers. I also look at your board papers regularly. I think obviously you've been congratulated, 24 years, financial balance is amazing in any care sector, frankly. But what the ICB mentioned in their AGM yesterday is 23-24 is difficult, 24-25 will be extremely difficult. And obviously this will have impact on all forms of service delivery. Now, there are three areas that I'd like to cover, please. How do you ensure your staff are supported and morale is maintained with the increasing demand on their input? That's the first question. The second question is capacity. You mentioned the chrysalis thing, etc. But I understand from ICB reports that over 140 women had to go out of area, that's out of Staffordshire and Stoke-on-Trent, for mental health services, basically acute mental health services, because of the lack of capacity for female beds. How is that being addressed for the future? And also, how are psychiatric intensive care unit beds being addressed? Because we know there is an extreme shortage of those throughout the West Midlands. And finally, I understand 117 aftercare has been looked at now and reviewed by the ICB. What is your input going to be in that review? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. Can I go for the first question around staff welfare to Paul, please?
Yeah, thanks, Janet. Thanks, Ian. I mean, it's a really great question, and you're absolutely right. You know, our services are our people. We're nothing without our people, and I think as a board we're absolutely conscious of the need to support those people, and I think part of the success of Combined over the years, the many years, you know, it's not just been the financial success, but it's been about our people, and you see that in, again, you know, a great staff survey result, you know, following on last year's great staff survey results. So I think it is building on that strength that we go into a challenging time as we went through with COVID, a really challenging time. Part of it is great leadership. I think we've got, you know, great leaders across the organisation. Not to say we can't do better. I think we can always improve. There's always room for improvement. But we've got some great leaders across the organisation that are bought into the values, that live the values, that look to make sure that we've got, you know, we try to be outstanding in all we do, and all the things, and the way that we do it is really important to that as well. I think, you know, being clear with people, giving people clarity, giving people I suppose the opportunities to use their voices to be able to influence how work impacts them. You know, and you've heard from the videos today, you know, around our coaches and peer support and how that works. Well, we need to, you know, that's replicated across other areas as well. And again, we can do better. We know that, you know, although our staff survey is one of the top in the country, there's still room for improvement. And we, you know, as a board and as a senior leadership and as an organisation, we want to continue to keep doing that. So we did a lot of engagement, and we've relaunched, refreshed our people plan this year. So we spoke to nearly 300 staff during the course of February and March, just to hear what was important to them, and we reflected that in our new people plan. That's now being enacted. It came through our senior leadership team and through our people committee into the board in July, and so that's our next phase of development in terms of what we're going to try and do with staff, and at the heart of that is about being inclusive, about listening to our staff, about empowering our staff, about making sure that they that they are central to what they do, that we're flexible in the way that we allow them to work, that we understand that life is more than just work for people. We have to build all that into the way that we work with people, and to enable them to make the improvements that they want to make. As you say, you're absolutely right. It's incredibly challenging. Eric talked about the challenges that we have financially. That's absolutely true, and we're not we're fully aware. We're not surprised by that. That's been coming for a little while, and nor are our staff. We're being very honest with our staff, and we're trying to get them into the right place. And I think it's all of our responsibility, and I'm very proud of the way that the board takes responsibility for ensuring that we not just do but act in the right way to make sure that our staff are listened to, that they're empowered, and that we make the changes that build around them. Because as we said, where we started from, our staff are our organisation. Our services are nothing without them.
Thanks very much, Paul. Is that okay, Ian, on that one point?
The only follow-up I would have there are staff, if they've got issues, they can escalate those issues. It's freedom to speak up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And your whistleblower policy, and that happens without fear or favour.
Absolutely. And absolutely. And we have I think again, look at our staff survey, we're one of the better responses in terms of people feeling they're able to speak up. But again, we've still got room for improvement. We've got a really great freedom to speak up guardian who's got access and visibility to the board, and Janet as chair of our people committee knows that, and is our non-executive freedom to speak up lead as well. And you're right, it's vital that people have that vehicle to raise concerns through the guardian, through the trade union representative, through their leaders, through anyone. But those things need to be escalated, and we need to be acting on them and reacting. And I have to say, coming back to the organisation, I think we do a really great job in that. But again, we've got more that we can do, and we recognise that we've got more that we can do. We're not being complacent around it.
Thank you very much. So we had 3 other questions, 1 on finance and 2 on capacity. If my memory serves me well, you're testing me on a Friday afternoon.
You're going to be 24, 25.
Okay.
You know there's a storm coming.
So we'll go to Eric on finances for next year, and that'll give Kenny time to think about the other 2 points around capacity, if that's okay.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Ian, for the question. All things being equal, our long-term plan looks robust.
Right.
That's not to say that there are not challenges, and as we are moving to more of an integrated care system, and we have, as you said, the ICB, it's all about how the system performs rather than individual organisations. I think as an organisation we've traditionally done very well, and we've punched above our weight in terms of contributing to that system. That's one of the reasons why we took on Project 86 and TCP a couple of years ago, and we have continued to do well with those schemes and reduce the average cost year on year. But you're right, it's not without its challenges, and I think until we see the real planning guidance for next year and what's expected, because we all are very aware that this is the last formal year of the MIS, the Mental Health Investment Standard. Although we do expect that to continue, it hasn't been formalised as yet. We're holding our fingers crossed as well. So I think we're as well placed as we possibly can be, but there will be risks and challenges along the way. But we have done better than expected this year so far.
Okay, thanks very much. So you can relax, Kenny. After I nearly dropped you in it then, I think the other 2 questions are going to Liz Mellor, who's our Chief Strategy Officer.
Yeah, I will answer, but Kenny might want to add as well. So I'll take both questions about female beds and intensive care beds, and also Section 117 arrangements, if that's okay. Yeah. So I'll try not to talk for too long, because there's lots I could say about this. And our primary sort of motivator is keeping people out of hospital. So that's the first thing that's important to say. And unless people absolutely need to go into hospital, we want them to be kept as well as they can in the environments in which they live. And that's the same you know, if they need to go into hospital and have that stay and that, you know, treatment, that they come out as quickly as we can enable. So, as part of the long-term plan, we've invested significantly in community mental health services, into the voluntary community and social enterprise sector, and to ensure that we've got those wraparound services to keep people well at home. But you know, the demand and capacity piece about sort of beds and availability and the need for out of area is diverse across the region and locally, and we're proud that our out of area numbers are incredibly low and we manage that demand and capacity really well, but that's not the same, so we take responsibility for this at a regional level, and next year we're reviewing particularly intensive care beds across the West Midlands and female acute beds, and we'll be part of that arrangement. I suppose in line with eagerly anticipating the next phase of the long-term plan, that's due, and we're finishing off sort of the current long-term plan, so we will sort of act upon that guidance and see where, but we want to take a sort of leadership role in some of that activity at a West Midlands level, and then just thinking sort of in our integrated care system, very aware of the review of the 117 arrangements, and we are signed up and part of those new arrangements and what the outcomes of those will be. So actively participating in those arrangements and the reviews that are happening at a local level.
Okay, Ian?
117 now, please.
Sorry, that was the same. So as far as 117 arrangements, yes, the Staffordshire arrangement's been reviewed and we were part of that, and there's a new process, and the Stoke-on-Trent arrangement will be reviewed this year, and again we're part of that because sort of discharge planning is something that we've invested in, and as an organisation we, as I said, we want people to come out of hospital, and when they come out they are secure and able to recover in their long-term journey as much as they can, which is what that aftercare is about and should enable.
Thank you very much. Thanks for your questions. There are no questions from people watching online, but it's an opportunity for anybody online, if they want to ask a question, please put your hand up. Nothing, I think, at the moment. And how about anybody in the room? Anybody who'd like to raise a point or ask a question in the room? No? Well, I think it just remains for me to thank everybody for attending, thank the team for putting the presentations together, and to wish you all a very pleasant rest of the day. Thank you very much.